Hello, welcome to my channel. I am your girl Monica, and today, welcome to my channel. My name is Monica Arinze, and today we are going to look into disability, employment, and career advancement in America, Europe, and Nigeria. So we can actually see what happens in other countries and what is happening in our own, and we can see if there is any good thing for us to adopt or see some comparison and tip. And this channel we talked about disability inclusion, disability empowerment, talk about lifestyle, talk about food, talk about health, talk about rehabilitations, I'll talk about motivating someone. So today we're going to dive into an interesting topic, and I'm happy that you're always watching my channels and I like your comments. Let us start coming in. Okay, so let's look into disability employment in America. Yes, somebody will say, why are you talking disability employment in America? So let's see what it looks like if you're a person with disability and you're living in America, in Europe, or other country outside Africa. So in the United States, the employment landscape for people with disability has been seeing some progress, but there are still significant challenges to overcome. According to the US Department of Labor, the employment population ratio for people with disability was 22.7% in 2004 in 2024, sorry, that's last year. So compared to 65.5% for those without disabilities. This disparity highlights the need for continued efforts to improve employment opportunity for individuals with disability. True. If you're having up to 22%, those people really matters, that you really have to look for a way you are going to do something that will benefit their life. Okay, so we are still going to look at what could be the key initiatives and programs that the American has done, that the life of person with disability in their country is far better than some other places. They have American with Disability Act, ADA. The ADA is a landmark civil rights laws that prohibit disability against individuals with disabilities in all areas of public life, including jobs, schools, transportations, and public and private places open to the general public. It ensures that people with disability have the same rights and opportunities as everyone else. So they are equal. Office, the second one is Office of Disability Empowerment Policy, ODEP, works to develop and influence policies and practices that increase the number and quality of employment opportunity for people with disabilities. They provide resources, technical assistance, and support to employers and employees alike. So they have their Disability Act, where they talk about their rights. You provide work, you provide public life, you provide transportation that is accessible, schools, and also both public and private places are open to general public that they can also use. And now they have another policy. Wow. And also works to develop and influence policy and the practices that increase the number and quality of employment opportunities for people with disability. So they have a policy on that. That's great. Then another one is Disability Employment Initiative. DEI aims to improve education, training, employment opportunities, and outcome for youth and adults with disability who are unemployed, underemployed, and or receiving social security disability benefits. Wow. So they have disability benefit as well in the United States. That's great. Then let's look at the career advancement in America. The career advancement in America. Career means work. So the career advancement for people with disability in the US often involves overcoming barriers such as workplace accessibility, discriminations, and lack of accommodation. However, these are several programs and initiatives designed to support career growth. Job Accommodation Network. The Job Accommodation Network provides free, expert, and confidential guidance on workplace accommodation and disability employment issues. They help employees and employers find solutions that work for everyone. It's not only looking at people with disability alone, but person with disability and person without disability. That's what this Job Accommodation Network does. This is like also another advocacy organization in America as well. Then they look at vocational rehabilitation services. VR. The vocational rehabilitation services offer individualized support to help people with disability prepare for, obtain, maintain employment, and this includes job training, career counseling, and assistance with job placements. So they actually have things that they do for person with disability that life can be more meaningful to them. We'll talk about the next one, employee resources group. Many companies have the employee resources group specifically for employers with disabilities. This will provide networking opportunities, mentorship, advocacy without the organizations. So they crafted all these things out, focusing on person with disability to have a meaningful life, to have jobs. That's the empowerment, because anybody with disability, you can't just exist without not having anything. It's kind of the highest punishment of not doing anything. You have your medical bills, you have your house rent, you have your life to live. You need to be productive, and the environment. If you are in the other part of the world, Africa, Nigeria, says, well, you are educated, you have all the checks, but there is no job for you. So next we'll look at disability employment in Europe. So what we looked at before, just now, is the employment in America. And you can see they have the employment laws, and they have other support career growth that help them. They have the Job Accommodation Network, they have vocational rehabilitation services, and they have employee resource group. That's in America, which is very thoughtful and impactful to person with disability in America. So let's look disability employment in Europe, because there is disability everywhere. There is disability in the world. So we look at in Europe, the employment rate for people with disability varies across countries, but overall there is significant employment gap between individuals with and without disabilities. So the European Commission's Disability Employment Package aims to improve labor market outcome for persons with disabilities. So one of the similarities that I'm saying is that both in America and the Europe, they want to ensure that persons with disability, that they are employed. They make sure they are among their labor market. They ensure that they will contribute their parts by what? Ensuring that they are working. They ensure they are inclusive. So they are part and parcel of the society. They are not relegated to the background. They are not looked like less of a human being. They are being carried along, and their rights are being protected. So we want to look at the key initiatives and programs like we did in the US, where you have CHAD and other networks. So for the Europeans now, you have the European Disability Strategy 2021 to 2030. Whoa, that's a long span of strategy. And what is this particular one talking about? The European Disability Strategy is talking about this strategy aims to ensure that all persons with disability in the Europe enjoy their human rights, have equal access to participation in the society and the economy, and can decide where, how, and with whom they live. Simple as that. The second one is Public Employment Services, PES Toolkit. The Public Employment Service Toolkit provides practical guidance for promoting the participation of persons with disabilities in the labor market. It includes strategies for reasonable accommodation, outreach, and partnership. So you see, They focus on the human right, they focus on the empowerment, they focus on ensuring they are part of their labor market. So all the things they do, they put them across, they ensure they are working. They don't want them to be a liability. This is so thoughtful of the Western world. Then the third one is affirmative action and combating stereotypes. The European Commission promotes hiring perspective through affirmative action and combating stereotype. This includes a catalog of positive action to encourage the hiring of persons with disability. Are you seeing this? So they don't forget they have such people. They ensure that they are being carried along. And empowerment, they push them to the empowerment. They put them to be in their labor market. They put them to be employable. They push them to be parts and parcels of their community, which is so key. Okay, then we'll look at into career advancement in Europe. Career advancement for people with disability in Europe is supported by various initiatives and policies aimed at creating inclusive workplaces and providing opportunities for growth. They have the lifelong guidance policies. The Europe supports lifelong guidance policies that helps individuals with disability navigate their career path and access training and development opportunities. That sounds good. Then the second one is reasonable accommodation guidelines. The European Commission provides guidelines and good practices for ensuring reasonable accommodation at work. These guidelines help employers create inclusive environment that supports career advancement for employers with disability. This sounds good, but I hope they're employing it, they are implementing it as well. Then the next one is vocational rehabilitation schemes. The EU promote vocational rehabilitation schemes to support individuals with disability in maintaining and advancing their careers, especially in cases of sickness or accident. So they have provisions that even if you're not a person with disability, if you become a person with disability, they will still have provisions for you. And if you're already a person with disability, they also have a provision for you. So in conclusion, this is not only what they do, but there's a few ones I want us to discuss. And in conclusion, why there are still challenges to overcome. Both Americans and Europe are making strides in providing employment and career advancement opportunities for people with disabilities. By continuing to advocate for inclusive policies and practices, we can create a more equitable and a supportive environment for everyone. All right, we'll go to another one that has to do now with what is Nigeria doing? What is the initiatives that Nigeria is doing? We've talked about America, we've talked about Europe. So now let's dive down to Nigeria. Let's dive into disability, employment, and career advancement in Nigeria. They're supposed to be a standalone, but let me use the few minutes I have to enlighten this. So when you watch those one from America and Europe, and you look at Nigeria, you can see the similarities. But I know one of the things could be what are we doing? So disability, employment, and career advancement in Nigeria. In Nigeria, the employment landscape for persons with disability has seen some progress, but there are still significant challenges to overcome. Can you hear that? But there are still significant challenges to overcome. According to the various reports, the unemployment rate among people with disability remain very high due to factors as inaccessibility workplace environment, lack of aids, and discrimination. This is so true with Nigerians. They are not lying. So what are the key initiatives and programs? The key initiatives and programs is that Discrimination Against Persons with Disability Prohibition Act of 2018. This landmark legislation prohibits discrimination against persons with disability in various phases, including employment. It mandates reasonable accommodation and ensures the full participation of persons with disability in the workforce. This is where we are still not getting it. This discrimination is high. I have many of us who got job and they were laid off without a reasonable excuse. That's how I put it. Because what they used to lay many of us off is not what those things people will be people that are able are still working because of what discrimination. You can never stop because the actors, I always say, the actors of disability, they are still the people discriminating. The actors is me and you that are also the actors to promote person with disability. We are still the person who discriminate both the organization, the Nigerian organization, both individual and both foreign organizations. I've gotten a job with a foreign organization, not one organization, not two, not three, not four. The organization was not accessible. I have my offer letter, they laid me off because our office is not accessible. We don't have a RAM. Discrimination where they know there is this laws. I see implementation. Did they accept it? So it's on and on like that. Then we have another group we want to talk about, National Commission for Persons with Disability, the NCPW, responsible for ensuring compliance with the Disability Act and promoting the rights and welfare of persons with disability. They work to create inclusive policies and practices in employment. That is what theoretically it is. Then we have the federal government initiative. And we believe that the commission will still do more. Now we'll have a new organizer or a new coordinator. So these are the key things they are doing. You can compare it with what the US is doing. It seems like it's the same. But the difference is how we implementing it. The federal government initiative. The federal government of Nigeria has implemented policies and programs to promote equal employment opportunity for people with disability. These include vocational training, entrepreneurship support, and accessible job centers. That I cannot say. Are we having an accessible organization? Is our toilet accessible? Is our systems accessible? And a whole lot. So career advancement in Nigeria. Career advancement for people with disability also involves overcoming barriers such as workplace accessibility, discrimination, lack of accommodation, and there are several programs and initiatives designed to support career growth. We have one, vocational training and education. So many organizations are into this vocational training and the education. What are they doing? Both the government and various organizations include vocational training and education opportunity tailored to enhance the employability of people with disabilities. These include job training, career counseling, and assistance with job placement. Yes, I know government has employed some person with disability in recent years. So we have inclusive hiring policies. Both public and private sector employers are included to adopt inclusive hiring policy for people with disabilities. This includes making workplace accessible to appropriate infrastructure, modification, and providing reasonable accommodations. Somebody has asked me, what is reasonable accommodation? Reasonable accommodation is that you provide a wheelchair for a person that uses a wheelchair. You provide accessible table, office table. You ensure there is a walkway for wheelchair to pass in the organization. The toilet is accessible. The kitchen or the restaurant is accessible. From the gates to the office is accessible. If it's an upstairs, do they have a lift that is accessible? Because I've gone to a place where my wheelchair cannot even enter the lift. The lift is very small. What did I do? Do they have an alternative? No. I turn around and leave and left. So that is one of the things we face, even though these are well documented, but what is implementing it is where we are still having a whole lot of challenges, but we'll bet that we can get there. Then we'll look at challenges and opportunity. Despite the progress made, there are still challenges to overcome in promoting disability, employment, and career advancement in Nigeria. These include inaccessible work environment. This is true because many workplaces in Nigeria are not equipped with the necessary infrastructure to accommodate people with disability. Funny enough, some programs for person with disability, they will go and put it in a place that has steps. Even if it's on the ground floor, it has like 7 to 8 steps. Where, if you are using crutches, it's hard for you to maneuver. If you are using a wheelchair, it's a no-no for you. Because when they put these things there, they don't even have a provision, let me say, of a mobile ramp. A mobile ramp is a ramp you can put on a step. If you don't want to break your steps, you can have a mobile ramp that you can put. After that, you can move it. So that's one of the challenges. Our challenges are more than our impacts, in a more sincere note. Then we look at discrimination and stigma. People with disability often face discrimination and stigma in the workplace, which can hinder their career development. In the workplace, people might just be unnecessary pitfall for you. It's not that you exhibit a pitfall attitude, but it's just because you're a person with disability. And that their pitfall attitude results in making you feel like as if, are you not worth anything? Am I not a human being like them? So the discrimination, the stigma, it's so huge and it's so much within the disability community, within the organization that's supposed to promote disability inclusion empowerment and everything that disability stands for. Then the next one is lack of awareness and education. There is need for greater awareness and education about the rights and capability of people with disabilities. These include educating employers and the general public about importance of inclusivity. I think this is where we as the advocacy organizations still need to sit up and do a whole lot of work. Do a whole lot of work in the sense that the public, the private, they don't know about our law. They don't know what it takes to be inclusive. They don't know what it means to provide reasonable accommodations. But I'm here. I'm just a 1 minute away. Call me. I'm just one email away. I'll help you put your place in a way it should be, that it should be accommodating for person with disability, different kinds of person with disability, because they have a whole lot to give. The society at large is losing if they are not tapping from the resources, from the intellectual abilities of person with disability has to offer. So continue watching my channel as we continue to dive into what employment and career looks like for person with disability in America, in Europe, and in Nigeria. We can see it's so glaring that the Western world has put a whole lot of things in place. They can even tell you the number of persons, the percentage of persons that has disability in America as of 2024. They have the data. They can be able to make reasonable decisions with their data. They can be able to give a good analysis of person with disability that has gained employment or that has not gained employment. Do we have that in Nigeria? Do we have a data that we can boast of person with disability? Do we have a data of person with disability that's unemployed? Then you see the challenges of the discrimination and stigma. You see the lack of provision of work tools for person with disability. My brothers and my sisters, this is me laying out my voice, and this work is for all of us, because today you are not a person with disability, but tomorrow you can be. And from what I'm looking at, from what I've been researching, it's very few that escape from disability in life. If disability don't meet you young age, mid-age, it will definitely meet you in the old age. So if you don't put your strength out now to do something, when you meet you at your old age, you're watching me, you're listening to me, what will you do then? How can you cope? Let me just digress more. I've seen a little clip recently about putting people in a nursing home. So all people that are in that particular nursing home, they have the wealthy rich men and they have average people. But it's not all of them that are sick. Some are just old age taking tolls on them. They are happy. Some are lonely. Some are thinking, I wish. Before you wish you could not. Please do something for the community of persons with disability. Your voice, your resources, your influence, your impact will help out. Empower someone today. Continue watching. This is your girl Monica, the girl with the word that can tell you, if you can't do much, just take your word and see. Continue watching my channel and take your word and be happy. Thank you. Bye for now. Ciao, ciao.